So, Cortney, what are the top 3 tips and recommendations you would give to anyone who's interested in becoming a DevRel?
Sure. I think tip number 1, no matter what your background is or what you're currently doing, the first thing to do is start advocating for developers in whatever role you're in. And not just for developers, for all stakeholders within whatever that pipeline of work is that developers are involved in. You really have to understand developers and the people that they're working with or working against, depending on how they look at it, in order to get their job done. And you can do that regardless of what you're currently doing now, whether you're even in the tech industry. If you're interested in this is something you can get involved in through open source projects, through communities, and through other things. So I think that's the first step, is getting to know as many developers as you can and advocating for them regardless of what role you're in currently. That would be my number 1. Number 2, it doesn't matter if you come from a technical background or not. You can totally do this role. That said, it's really challenging. So if you are somebody like myself who doesn't come from a technical background, the second thing you need to do is start working on that. That doesn't mean that you have to be an expert in everything. It doesn't mean that you're going to learn everything overnight, but it does mean that you have an interest in it and that you are pushing yourself in order to learn different things and aspects that the people that you're advocating for actually do, so that you have a cool and deep understanding of what's going on for them, and can better understand the different hurdles that they have. Likewise, if you are a technical backgrounded person, don't think you've got it made in DevRel. DevRel is a super diverse role. It's always questioned, what does DevRel actually do? And that's because it's a very interdisciplinary place to be. So if you're a technically backgrounded person, you need to start working on communication skills, be learning things about marketing jargon, understand a sales process, because while you are not sales, you will have to have conversations with people on your sales team. And you need to be able to understand their world as well, because the truth is you're advocating for your company and your product. You are advocating internally and externally at all times. So you really do have to understand not just developers, but also the people on your team that you're going to be working with. So people coming from a non-technical background might have a bit more of an advantage in terms of internal advocacy, and external is where they need to work on. But for people that are super technically backgrounded, they really need to jump into the deep end of figuring out how to advocate internally with other stakeholders in their product, because you have to have some knowledge of what's going on there. And tip number 3, I would say, is learn how to ask a lot of questions and be curious, but also learn how to actively listen. Your job really is to ask questions externally of your users, get a real understanding of what they like, what they dislike, what you're not providing for them, why they need that, and then take that information that you've actively gotten and go back and tell people actively in your company, this is what's going on. This is what people love. Let's do more of this. This is what they don't like. This is what we need to provide them. This is where trends are going. And then you need to actively listen to your team as well, because you've got your own development team that's going to say, great, we can do this, but we can't do that. And you need to be able to go tell your users as well. So be curious, I think, is really, really important. Actively asking questions and then learning how to listen to that and abstract the information, take it back and report it to people on both sides, whether it's internally or externally.
Very, very good. Wonderful. So we see a mixture of technical, non-technical skills, what some might call soft skills or transversal skills, and being open-minded to all those different stakeholders who are involved in the process. Cortney, this is fantastic, short and sweet. You're out there, you're very, very active. If folks want to interact with you, you're on Twitter, you're on LinkedIn, you're on various Slacks, and looking forward to hanging out in KubeCon as well. And in the meantime, keep up the amazing work. All right. Cheers.